Have you ever felt just, well, overwhelmed by information, like you're drowning in it, wishing there was a shortcut to truly understanding what really matters?
Or have you wondered what gives someone that power to reshape their world? Whether it's through just a single word or maybe a lifetime of determined action.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, today, we're trying to cut through some of that noise.
Mm-hmm.
We're diving into a really fascinating collection of sources that explore exactly that. The incredible power of individual conviction, the art of communication, and, importantly, the courage it takes to speak truth and drive real change.
And we're looking at this across time, right? From ancient philosophers all the way to modern motivators.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From fierce advocates for justice to, quiet contemplators of purpose, we think we can uncover some pretty universal principles that still resonate today across centuries.
So this deep dive isn't really about one specific historical event. It's more about the invisible threads, maybe, the connections between extraordinary individuals and their capacity to influence things.
Yeah, we're looking at what fuels personal success, how genuinely effective communication is crafted, and maybe why some voices just seem to become these undeniable beacons for societal transformation.
And the sources we're drawing on are incredibly rich and diverse.
Oh, absolutely. We've got philosophical heavyweights like Aristotle's Rhetoric and Cicero's De Orator.
Okay.
Then there are motivational classics like Conwell's Acres of Diamonds and Nightingale's The Strangest Secret.
Familiar ones.
Right. And profound reflections from people like Elie Wiesel and Viktor Frankl, insights on vulnerability from Brene Brown.
And some really powerful historical voices, too.
Definitely. We'll touch on figures like Sojourner Truth, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and critically, the searing moral clarity of Frederick Douglass, particularly in his seminal speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July.
Wow, okay. That's quite a range. So our mission for you, the listener, today is really to extract the core wisdom from all these different perspectives.
Exactly. Not just to understand what these thinkers and doers said, but maybe more importantly, why it matters for you.
Right here, right now, in your own life, your interactions.
Yeah. How can you apply this? Hopefully there'll be some genuine aha moments, maybe some practical insights you can take away.
Okay, sounds good. Let's unpack this.
So, kicking us off in this exploration of personal power, let's talk about Russell H. Conwell's message in Acres of Diamonds. It's such an enduring idea.
It really is.
His central point is powerful and maybe often overlooked, that immense opportunities, whether for wealth or self-improvement, they usually lie right within your immediate environment.
Right there, using skills and connections you already have.
Precisely. We so often exhaust ourselves searching far away for what is actually right under our noses.
It's such a relatable concept, isn't it? We think big opportunities need big changes, new city, new career.
Right. But Conwell's whole lecture series, it came from understanding local communities deeply.
How did he do that?
Well, he'd visit a town, talk to literally everyone, the postmaster, the barber, ministers, factory workers.
Just getting the lay of the land.
Exactly. Understanding their specific local conditions, their history, what maybe hadn't worked out yet, and then he'd tailor his message to those specific overlooked opportunities right there in their community.
That's a profound lesson right there in just observation and local engagement.
And what's really striking, especially for his time, is how Conwell, who was a Christian minister, he controversially argued that making money honestly is, quote, to preach the gospel.
Wow. Okay. How did he justify that?
He saw genuine wealth as a natural result of sincere service and meeting real human needs. So the insight here is that true prosperity for him wasn't about greed.
Yeah.
It was about genuine service, finding a human need and fulfilling it. That elevates personal gain because it links it directly to ethical conduct and public benefit. It's actually a surprisingly modern take on entrepreneurship.
He even had that personal story right from his father's store.
Yeah, the jackknife anecdote. He talked about being young, working there, and repeatedly telling customers they didn't stock jackknives, even though people kept asking.
Just brushing them off.
Right. And his realization later was, if he had been running the store on a truly Christian plan, a godly plan, meaning a plan of service, he would have had that jackknife.
Because the need was there.
Exactly. The foundation of both godliness and business success, he concluded, was the same. Diligently serving others. That brings its own reward.
And he scaled that idea up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Saying wealth was right there.
Within the sound of your voice.
Yeah, he challenged his audience.
Huh?
Look within just 4 blocks of your home, say, in Philadelphia. Really investigate the unfulfilled demands.
What aren't people getting?
Precisely. His point was these overlooked needs, they represent potential for immense profits. If people would just open their eyes and apply some ingenuity, solve real problems right where you are.
The examples he uses are so vivid, almost like little parables.
They really stick with you.
Yeah.
Like the man in California, 1847, sells his ranch to Colonel Sutter. And then...
Gold, discovered right there on that very land shortly after he left. $38 million worth, apparently, from just a few acres.
Ouch! Talk about missed opportunity.
Or the professor of mineralogy, who wouldn't take a job for $45 a week, but was literally sitting on a block of native silver in his own Massachusetts homestead without recognizing it.
He didn't see it.
Didn't see the value right under him. These are just powerful metaphors for how often we overlook inherent value simply because we're conditioned to look elsewhere.
Like searching for your keys when they're in your hand.
Exactly like that. But it wasn't just about money for him, though.
No?
No, he expressed pity for the rich man's son, the one shielded from honest toil. He argued that the discipline of a poor boy was often worth more than a university education.
He valued the struggle.
Immensely. He cited the elder Vanderbilt's son choosing to work on a ferry boat rather than just inheriting wealth. It exemplified the value of struggle, of self-reliance, understanding that real capability is earned.
It's really a testament to ingenuity, too. Like John Jacob Astor.
Ah, the bonnet story. Right. Astor didn't just guess customer desires.
What did he do?
He'd sit in the park, observe what ladies were actually wearing their bonnets, then go back to his millinery store and tell them what to display based on that observed demand.
Smart. Early market research.
Absolutely. He wasn't just filling the window randomly. He was attracting them based on what they already wanted. And Conwell also championed women inventors, which was quite forward-thinking.
Who did he mention?
He credited Mrs. Jacquard with the Jacquard loom, farmers' wives, with the printer's roller and printing press, Mrs. General Green for showing Eli Whitney the idea for the cotton gin.
Wow.
And even a New England woman who invented the snap button for waterproofs, solves a practical problem, became incredibly wealthy, bought her own private steamship.
That's amazing. So, the ultimate lesson from Conwell.
Success, he argued, isn't about changing your environment so much as changing your perspective and your actions within it. It's about really recognizing needs, serving others diligently, and applying your own ingenuity to solve problems right where you stand. And he lived it too. He founded Temple University and Samaritan Hospital based on the needs he saw in his own community.
Okay, building on that idea of finding opportunity where you are, let's shift the focus inward now. From our surroundings to our own minds. With Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret.
Right. And his core idea is incredibly direct, almost deceptively simple.
Which is?
The most crucial factor determining success or failure in our lives is our thoughts. Plain and simple. He says, we become what we think about.
The strangest secret. Why strange?
Well, strange because, according to Nightingale, despite it being this universal truth echoed through ages, so few people actually live by it consciously. He uses that powerful analogy of the ship. A ship with a clear destination, a capable captain, it reaches its goal, right?
Sure, makes sense.
But a ship without an aiming point, it's just a derelict, drifting aimlessly. And that, he says, vividly illustrates the absolute necessity of clearly defined goals for us as human beings. Without them, we're just adrift.
And he grounds this historically, doesn't he? It's not just his idea.
Not at all. He emphasizes that thinkers across history, Marcus Aurelius, Emerson, William James, even Shakespeare, they all converged on this one point.
What did Marcus Aurelius say?
A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Pretty direct.
Yeah.
And William James took it even further. We need only in cold blood act as if the thing in question was real and it will become infallibly real.
That sounds almost like magic.
Well, not magic, but the power of conviction and directed action. It's about the self-fulfilling prophecy that comes from belief coupled with consistent, focused effort. It shapes your perception and your actions.
And he offered a way to test this, right? A 30-day challenge.
He did. Very practical. Step 1, write down your main goal clearly. Step 2, commit to thinking about it cheerfully, relaxed, positively every morning, throughout the day, before bed. Keep it top of mind.
Okay, focus. What else?
3, actively stop dwelling on fears. When a negative thought pops up, consciously replace it with the mental picture of your positive goal.
Easier said than done sometimes, but okay.
Definitely takes practice. 4, do more than you have to. Give more of yourself, understanding that returns in life are proportional to what you give. That service element again.
Connecting back to Conwell.
Exactly. 5, Resist worrying about how you'll achieve the goal. The answers, he suggests, will come if your focus is unwavering on where you're going.
Trust the process a bit.
Sort of, yeah. Focus on the destination. And finally, number 6, maintain a calm and cheerful demeanor throughout. Attitude matters.
That emphasis on service is really key, linking back. Nightingale says financial return is directly tied to service.
Directly proportional. He states, the only way to earn money is by providing people with services or products which are needed and useful. Success is the result of providing value, not the cause of making money.
So it's about adding value first.
Always. And he talks beautifully about our minds, our imagination. Calls it the gold mine between your ears.
I like that.
Yeah, a priceless resource. He sees creative thinking as the highest function of the mind, something that puts a fresh new face on the world. It's about actively using that resource.
Does he describe what a creative person looks like in terms of habits?
He does. Someone who realizes their mind is inexhaustible, constantly seeks new information, has clear goals, dedicates time each day to imaginative thinking about self, work, others, reaches out for ideas, respects others' minds, and avoids prejudice.
And he challenges complacency, too.
Oh, absolutely. He throws down the gauntlet. If you're doing anything this year the same way you did it last year, you're in serious trouble.
Wow.
He encourages questioning everything, even why a steering wheel is round, just as practice for creative thinking, for keeping that mental muscle flexed.
So the bottom line here for the listener, what should they take away?
Your mindset is your most powerful asset, period. Deliberate, consistent focus on worthwhile goals, combined with dedicated action and service, that combination can profoundly transform your reality. It's about actively cultivating your inner world to create outward change.
Okay, so we have this foundation of powerful thought, clear intention. Now let's talk about how we actually operationalize that inner power. How does it translate into action through mindset, values, and real self-mastery?
Right. And thinkers like Anthony Robbins and Zig Ziglar really drive this home. They emphasize that self-knowledge, the conscious choice of the language we use, and aligning our actions with our core personal values are absolutely fundamental for growth and achieving excellence.
Let's start with Robbins. Belief systems are huge for him, right?
Huge. He explains how our beliefs fundamentally shape our outcomes, our perceptions. They influence how we structure our internal experiences, which then directly changes our emotional states, our behaviors, our ability to handle challenges.
So beliefs are like the operating system.
In a way, yes. And he talks about modeling excellence, observing, and then emulating the specific strategies, beliefs, behaviors of successful people, like a shortcut to success, by reverse engineering what works for others.
And that ties into language, too, his transformational vocabulary.
Exactly. This one really makes you pause. If the words we use shape our experience, how often are we maybe inadvertently creating more pain or limitation for ourselves just by how we talk about things? He argues the words we attach to experiences become our experience. So consciously choosing different words, maybe I'm feeling challenged instead of I'm overwhelmed, or I'm curious instead of I'm confused, can literally alter our internal state and perception.
That's powerful. And what about understanding others? He talks about meta programs.
Yes. These are like our unconscious filters, our default decision-making patterns. Are you primarily motivated toward pleasure and goals or away from pain and problems?
Okay.
Do you have an internal frame of reference, trusting your own judgment, or an external one, seeking validation from others? Understanding these in yourself and others helps you tailor communication incredibly effectively. You know what makes people tick?
And that leads to better connections.
Much better. Misunderstanding these can lead to unmet emotional needs and friction. He also champions reframing.
Changing the meaning of something.
Precisely. Either by changing the context or the content itself. His examples are great. Instead of, my boss yells at me, maybe, it's great he cares enough to express his feelings openly.
Okay. Take some mental gymnastics, maybe.
It can. Or a large tax bill becomes proof that I earned significantly more this year. It's about taking control of the narrative you build around events.
Now, Zig Ziglar has his stairway to the top. What are the steps there?
It's a clear progression. Starts with number 1, a healthy self-image. That's the foundation.
Makes sense.
2, recognizing the worth and ability of others. Essential for living and working effectively. 3, strong goal orientation. A plan for your life, he says, is more important than a plan for your house.
Good point.
4 and 5 are linked.
Yeah.
The right mental attitude and a willingness to work, seeing work as joy, not drudgery, through adjusting your thinking, plus a burning desire to excel, having lots of want to.
And the final step.
Living in a system like free enterprise that allows you the ability to control your own destiny.
Okay. And Les Brown, he has stages of greatness.
4 stages, yeah, focused on increasing self-awareness first, self-knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
understanding your drivers, your inhibitors, moving from unconscious incompetence, not knowing what you don't know, to conscious competence, the old know thyself. Second, self-approval. How do you handle compliments? Do you deflect? That's a barometer for self-worth. Third, self-commitment. The discipline to stick to your craft. Brown uses himself as an example, choosing to work on his speaking instead of going out with friends. He says, the boss doesn't go drinking with the boys every night. That's why he's the boss.
Huh. Fair enough. And the last stage.
Self-fulfillment. Using your talents, your gifts to their absolute fullest. Using your unique voice, your mama's voice, as he puts it, for good.
It's interesting how ancient wisdom connects here too, Seneca.
Right, the Stoic philosopher.
Yeah.
He said, it is wrong to live under constraint, but no man is constrained to live under constraint, implying internal freedom is always possible.
Even when external circumstances are limiting.
Exactly. He also said, any truth is my own property, showing an open, pragmatic approach to learning wisdom from anywhere. And he believed virtue itself could bring happiness, even amidst pain.
Which resonates with Viktor Frankl.
Deeply. Frankl, in a Nazi concentration camp, facing unimaginable external constraints, found the mental freedom to force his mind elsewhere when daily horrors became overwhelming. It's a testament to the mind's ultimate power, even in extremity.
So, pulling this all together, what's the key message for our listeners?
Personal power really stems from that conscious control over your thoughts, your words, your actions, keeping them aligned with your deeply held values. And crucially, committing to continuous growth and self-mastery. It's about building that strong inner foundation to live intentionally.
Okay, so we've spent some time exploring that inner landscape, personal power, mindset. Now let's turn our attention outward, to the art of influence itself.
Right. And who better to guide us initially than the classical rhetoricians? Figures like Aristotle, Cicero, Quintilian, they meticulously dissected how to craft truly powerful messages.
What was their core idea? It wasn't just about fancy words, was it?
Not at all. It was about effectiveness. They stressed clarity, appropriateness, having a solid ethical foundation, and of course, skillful delivery. It was a whole package.
Let's start with Aristotle's Rhetoric. What were his key virtues of wording?
Number 1, absolutely paramount, clarity. He basically said if your words don't make things clear, they fail at their basic job as signs.
Like a foggy window, you can't see through it.
Exactly. But clarity wasn't enough. The wording also had to be appropriate. Neither too low class nor too high flown for the subject. Poetic language, for instance, doesn't belong in plain speech.
Finding the right register.
Precisely. He suggested making language a bit out of the ordinary, but still fitting, gives it dignity and makes it pleasing, like admiring something beautiful but distant.
Interesting. And he talked about structure, too. Enthymemes.
Ah, yes, enthymemes. Think of them as arguments where you deliberately leave a premise unstated, letting the audience fill in the blank.
Why do that?
It makes the conclusion feel like their discovery, not something you're just hammering into them. It makes them active participants in the logic. More persuasive. Very. He described them as tightly organized, often using balanced contrasts, and worded to seem likely true by their very design. He also talked about leveraging shared values, praising virtues of the soul like courage or body like health, or even acquisition like riches to connect with what the audience already believed.
And he had specific tactics for praise and blame.
Oh yes, almost strategic advice. You could equate similar attributes, describe someone overcautious as cool and calculating, or foolish as trustworthy,
Stretching the truth a bit.
or framing it generously, portraying someone rash as courageous or wasteful as generous, because, as Aristotle shrewdly noted, it will seem that way to most people.
Playing to perception.
And crucially, speaking as though the values held dear by the specific group you're addressing, Scythians, Spartans, philosophers, whoever were present in your subject, speak their language, value-wise.
Okay, so Aristotle laid a strong foundation. What did Cicero add in De Orator?
Cicero added a vital layer about the orator themselves. He demanded wide knowledge, history, law, politics, critical reading, the ability to argue both sides of an issue skillfully. The true orator, he felt, had both dignity and real force.
Nature versus nurture. Did he think orators were born or made?
He acknowledged some are naturally gifted, not born, but by some god ficti made. The stress that raw talent wasn't enough. You could be hesitant, cling to the tongue, or unconvincing, off-key in voice. The gift needed serious cultivation.
And how did he view the goal of oratory? Just informing.
Far from it. Cicero understood how to deeply move and sway an audience. Brief, subdued speech might inform a judge, he said, but it couldn't move them, couldn't stir them deeply to action.
So what did it take to move?
Much and varied and copious oration and similar contention of action. Passion, variety, volume, energy. In that, he believed, lies everything, the power to truly compel. He also demonstrated arguments using comparison and contrast, like, if wild beasts love their offspring, what indulgence ought we to have for our children?
Using relatable examples to build the case.
Exactly. And then Quintilian, in his Institutio Oratoria, really cemented the ethical dimension.
How so?
He defined eloquence not for mercenary ends, but as a noble art for stable and lasting rewards, found in the soul, knowledge, contemplation. The highest pleasure, he said, is the child of virtue.
So eloquence linked to morality.
Intrinsically, he called memory the treasure house of eloquence, essential for retaining facts, following arguments, speaking extemporaneously.
And his definition of an orator?
Borrowed from Marcus Cato, a good man, skilled in speaking. Quintilian was adamant. Eloquence must never serve crime, otherwise it's pernicious, dangerous. The mind must be free from vice to focus on wielding words responsibly.
He also saw value in history.
As nutriment, yes, rich material. But he warned orators against adopting a historian's narrative style. Orators need the wiry sinews of the soldier, he said direct, impactful, not the swelling thews of the athlete, which might be impressive, but less functional in combat.
Interesting analogy.
And he got into stylistic details too, wordplay, flow, avoiding clunky sounds like clashing vowels, but also warning against being so meticulous, pedantic solicitude that it kills the natural flow. Finding that balance, like Demosthenes and Cicero did.
In debate.
All about sharp attack and defense, impressing key points, fulfilling promises, refuting lies, getting to closer grips with his adversary.
So pulling the threads from these ancient guides, what's the takeaway for effective influence today?
True. Lasting persuasion isn't just technique. It's built on a foundation of extensive knowledge, deep moral integrity, precise and appropriate language, and that crucial ability to genuinely move an audience, not just tickle their intellect. It's a demanding, holistic craft.
Okay, from the intricate craft of ancient rhetoric, let's jump forward to some modern insights on inspiration. Simon Sinek's golden circle concept comes to mind immediately.
Absolutely. It's profoundly simple on the surface, but so often missed in practice. His core idea, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
The purpose behind it all.
Exactly. That why is essential for truly inspiring people, creating lasting impact. It's what separates real leaders from just managers or executors.
Can you give an example of how this plays out?
Sinek uses Apple frequently. Their success across such different industries, computers, music players, phones, wasn't just because they made great whats. It was because their why, challenging the status quo, thinking differently, resonated.
So people who shared that belief were drawn to them, regardless of the product.
Precisely. If you believe what Apple believes, you connect with them. It's about that shared belief system.
What about another example? Southwest Airlines.
Right. They weren't the first low-cost airline. Others did the what before them. But Southwest, Sinek argues, was built to champion a cause.
Which was?
Making air travel accessible, democratic, even fun. They just happened to use an airline to express that why. And that powerful purpose created this incredibly loyal following, going way beyond just cheap fares.
It defined their identity.
Completely.
Mm.
And Sinek also uses Walmart as a cautionary tale.
Mm.
Sam Walton built it on a clear why, serving everyday people, lowering prices. And the stores, the logistics, proved that why. Money was the result.
Mm.
But after Walton's death, Sinek suggests that belief in the why started to fade, and the focus shifted more heavily to just the what profits, metrics. It's a lesson in how losing that core purpose can dilute the original inspiration.
So how does an organization keep the why alive as it grows?
That's the challenge. Sinek notes when a company is small, the founder communicates the why directly, organically. As it scales, that why has to be explicitly, consistently represented in everything the company does, all the what-level activities. Otherwise, it gets lost.
Makes sense. And how does this connect back to individual communication, building rapport? Anthony Robbins talks about modalities.
Yes, but understanding whether someone primarily processes information visually, auditorily, or kinesthetically. Recognizing and adapting to their preferred mode makes your communication much more effective. You're speaking their language, literally.
So paying attention to the words they use, their gestures.
Exactly. And he talks about pacing and leading, subtly mirroring someone's behavior, posture, tone, tempo to build rapport, pacing, and then, once that connection is there, gently guiding the interaction, leading. Practical techniques for deeper connections.
So the ultimate takeaway here, bridging Sinek and Robbins.
Effective communication, business, politics, personal life. It has to go beyond just facts and features. It needs to tap into shared beliefs, a deeper sense of purpose, that why. That's what creates genuine connection and inspires real, lasting action. Speak to the heart, not just the head. Hashtag tag tag 2.3, the dangers and responsibilities of speech.
Now, we've talked about the power of influence, the art of persuasion, but it's crucial to acknowledge the other side of the coin, right? The dangers and the profound responsibilities that come with speech.
Absolutely essential. Plato, for instance, was deeply concerned about rhetoric used purely for persuasion without a solid grounding in real knowledge or virtue.
He saw it as potentially manipulative.
Very much so. In the Gorgias, Socrates condemns rhetoric as a mere form of flattery, not a true art. He compared it to cookery, being the flattery of medicine pleasing the palate, but not necessarily promoting health. Rhetoric, he argued, often produces plausibility to truth, not truth itself.
It can create an illusion of understanding.
Precisely. He argued it teaches how to persuade about right and wrong without actually knowing what is right and wrong. Socrates famously said he'd rather be judged unfairly than stoop to pandering to ignorant desires just to win favor.
He had strong convictions about the soul, too, didn't he?
Immensely strong. He considered badness of soul the greatest evil that exists. And, controversially, he argued that being punished for doing wrong is actually better than getting away with it.
Why?
Because punishment, like medicine for the body, could potentially cure the soul. The prosperous wrongdoer who escapes justice, he believed, remains in the worst possible state because their soul stays diseased.
That's a challenging perspective, and he even critiqued writing itself.
He did, in the Phaedrus. He tells a story where the god king Thamus criticizes the invention of writing, fearing it would weaken people's memories. They'd rely on external marks rather than internal recollection.
Interesting. What else?
He also noted, written words cannot answer back. They just repeat the same thing endlessly. He felt this applied to set speeches, too. Only real back-and-forth philosophic dialogue, he argued, was truly educational and led to genuine understanding.
So a preference for dynamic exchange over static pronouncements.
Exactly. And Quintilian, coming back to him, strongly reinforces this moral dimension of speech. He flatly states, true rhetoric is impossible for any save a just and good man.
The character of the speaker is paramount.
Absolutely. He condemned glibness of speech for evil purposes, seeing it as inherently pernicious. The skill must serve virtue.
And this tension, this responsibility, it echoes today, doesn't it?
Without a doubt. William Safire wrote about the eternal, imprescriptible right of freedom of speech, but then lamented. He observed, the American people are sick and tired of being afraid to speak their minds lest they be politically smeared. He felt freedom of speech is not what it used to be in America, highlighting its fragility and the responsibility that comes with exercising it or failing to protect it.
It requires constant vigilance.
And Kurt Vonnegut offered a blunt perspective, too. He said, it was evil deeds and lying that hurt us, not necessarily coarse language itself.
So focus on the ethical content and intent, not just the surface politeness.
That seems to be his point. It pushes us to look beyond the presentation and consider the underlying truthfulness and impact of the words being used.
So what's the crucial message for us navigating communication today?
The ability to persuade is powerful, and with great power comes great responsibility, to borrow a phrase. True ethical eloquence must be rooted in knowledge, in virtue, in truthfulness. Otherwise, it risks becoming a tool for manipulation and harm, not a force for understanding and positive change. It's a constant call to conscious, responsible communication.
Okay, this brings us to perhaps the most challenging and maybe the most vital aspect of influence, speaking truth to power.
Right. Standing up against prevailing injustices, using your voice to expose hypocrisy, demanding fundamental rights, often at tremendous personal cost.
And there's no more powerful example of this, especially in the American context, than Frederick Douglass and his speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July.
Absolutely electrifying. Delivered July 5th, 1852, not the 4th. A deliberate choice. He directly confronted the searing hypocrisy of a nation celebrating liberty while enslaving millions.
How did he begin? Did he ease into it?
Not at all. He addressed his audience directly, saying, your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. Boom. Right away. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance, bequeathed by your fathers, is shared by you, not by me.
Just laying bare the contradiction from the outset.
Immediately, he continued, "The sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn." He called the very act of asking him, a man who escaped slavery, to speak on such a day an inhuman mockery and sacrilegious irony.
He refused to participate in the
Ah,
pretense.
completely. Then he moved into the brutal reality, describing the practical operation of this internal slave trade sustained by American politics and American religion, where human beings, men and women, are reared like swine for the market.
He didn't shy away from the graphic detail.
Not for a second. He painted this horrifying picture of the mandrovers with their pistols and whips, driving a company of 100 men, women, and children from the Potomac to New Orleans. He implored his audience, "Mark the sad procession, hear his savage yells."
Making it impossible to ignore the human suffering.
He described the old man, the young mother weeping over her baby, the 13-year-old girl torn from her mother. It wasn't abstract injustice. It was visceral, immediate, challenging the conscience of everyone listening. No comfortable detachment allowed.
And he challenged the church directly, too.
Oh, fiercely. He called the fugitive slave law one of the grossest infringements of Christian liberty and blasted ministers and churches for being stupidly blind or most wickedly indifferent.
Why? What was their failing in his eyes?
Their silence.
Yeah.
He said if the law concerned some minor religious ceremony, 1,000 pulpits would demand repeal. But on slavery, silence. This implied, he argued, that the church regarded religion as an empty ceremony, valuing sacrifice above mercy, psalm singing above right-doing.
A devastating critique. Did he spare the political system?
Not at all. Americans. Your Republican politics, not less than your Republican religion, are flagrantly inconsistent. He just laid it out. They boast of liberty, yet pledge to perpetuate slavery. They condemn tyrants abroad, yet act as mere tools and bodyguards of the tyrants of Virginia and Carolina.
Highlighting the hypocrisy on every level.
Yeah, every level. They welcome fugitives of oppression from abroad with open arms and charity, but their own fugitives, people escaping slavery, they advertise, hunt, arrest, shoot, and kill.
The contrast is staggering when he puts it like that.
It is. He pointed out how they shed tears over fallen Hungary, making its cause famous. But regarding the 10,000 wrongs of the American slaves, you would enforce the strictest silence. And then the master stroke.
What was that?
He quoted the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and immediately contrasted it with the reality of holding a seventh part of the inhabitants of your country in a bondage, worse than ages of that which your fathers rose in rebellion to oppose. Just, wow, the courage, the clarity.
Truly speaking truth directly to power. And Sojourner Truth embodied that same spirit, didn't she?
Absolutely. A tall, colored woman facing that hostile mob in 1853, embodying, as the account says, the two most hated elements of humanity, black and female. Yet she stood calm and dignified. Despite being illiterate, she could penetrate the very soul of the universe.
And she had practical ideas, too.
Yes, calling for a colony in the West for freed people, not Liberia, a vision for justice within America. She spoke powerfully about the slow and constant degradation of her race and argued their real capacities have never been thoroughly tested.
Martin Luther King Jr. carried that torch forward.
Decades later, yes. That vision of justice rolling down like waters, fighting segregation, those for whites-only signs, fighting for the basic right to vote, and acknowledging the cost people coming fresh from narrow jail cells, the fight demands sacrifice.
And Nelson Mandela's commitment.
Unwavering. His "I am prepared to die" speech, committing to a democratic, free society with equal opportunities, fighting both white domination and black domination. His willingness to die for that ideal, it counters the fear of the majority by insisting on a solution guaranteeing freedom for all.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg chose a different arena, the legal system, but fought similar battles against entrenched norms.
Exactly. Challenging laws based purely on sex, highlighting the pervasive social, economic, and political effects of that discrimination. She saw the flood of litigation in the 70s, proving the need for the ERA to force comprehensive change.
And she connected reproductive rights to equality.
Directly. She argued women's ability to participate equally depended on their ability to control their reproductive lives, linking it also to free speech principles. Your right to swing your arms ends just where the other person's nose begins, applying individual autonomy broadly.
Even Theodore Roosevelt, perhaps surprisingly to some, challenged wrongs in his time.
He did, asserting that states' rights shouldn't protect people's wrongs, like child labor. He believed human rights are supreme over all other rights, and wealth should be the servant, not the master of the people. Bold statements then.
And going way back, Demosthenes warning Athenians.
Against trusting Philip, urging them to rely upon yourselves, active engagement over passive hope, and William Safire, much more recently, warning about a majority stripping rights from a minority and the danger of speech that smears innocent people or whitewashes guilty people. So, the constant thread here, what's the lesson?
Confronting these deep injustices demands more than just eloquence. It requires profound moral clarity, yes, but also immense personal courage, a willingness to endure opposition, maybe even sacrifice. It's about fighting for liberty and equality for everyone, not just your own group, and being prepared for the consequences of speaking that truth. Hashtag 3.2. The role of vulnerability and empathy in connection. Okay, after exploring the raw courage needed to challenge injustice, let's pivot slightly to another crucial element of connection and influence, the role of vulnerability and empathy.
Right, and Brene Brown's research here is just groundbreaking. She argues vulnerability isn't weakness at all. Instead, it's the birthplace of connection, courage, creativity, and worthiness.
And shame, how does that fit in?
Shame, she says, is the fear of disconnection. It's that deep-seated fear that something about us, something we've done or failed to do, or just makes us unworthy of connection. That feeling of, I'm unlovable or I don't belong.
And it's universal.
Absolutely universal, she stresses. We all have it.
Mm.
The only people who don't experience shame lack empathy. They're sociopaths. And the less we talk about shame, the more power it has over us. It thrives in silence.
She talks about how this plays out differently for men and women, the shipping crate for men.
Yeah, that's a powerful image. The intense societal pressure on men to never show weakness, to be emotionally stoic, effectively traps them in this shipping crate of expectations. And the result? Disengagement, blame, a lack of creativity in cultures dominated by shame.
So how do we break free? How do we cultivate connection instead?
Brown says her own life changed when she started asking hard questions about her own fear of vulnerability and found the courage to actually share her struggles, leaning into that discomfort, the uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It's painful, no doubt, but it's necessary for genuine connection.
And trying to avoid it just isolates us more.
Exactly. Trying to control everything or staying constantly busy to avoid feeling difficult emotions, those are just forms of armor we put up against vulnerability. Shields that ultimately keep others out.
I find her distinction between aspirational values and practiced values really useful.
Me too.
Mhm.
It highlights the gap between what we say we value maybe on a corporate mission statement or in parenting lectures and how we actually live, feel, behave, think.
Where the rubber meets the road.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that gap gets illuminated when we ask tough questions about our tolerance for discomfort, for learning, for real feedback. Are we living our values or just talking about them?
She also challenges judgment, especially among parents.
Strongly. You can't claim to care about the welfare of children if you're shaming other parents for the choices they're making. When we operate from a place of worthiness, she argues, rather than scarcity, we don't feel that need to attack others.
And that applies to raising kids, too. Modeling worthiness.
Crucial. Raising kids who believe in their inherent worthiness means parents have to be on that journey themselves, and consciously avoiding messages that imply worthiness is conditional on being thin or nice for girls, or stoic and high status for boys.
This connects powerfully to Eli Wiesel's reflections, doesn't it? That question, am I my brother's keeper?
Deeply. Wiesel notes if the answer is yes, it demands action, but also definition. Who is my brother? He acknowledges you can't literally be a brother to everyone, but stresses the importance of being present for those who need you. It's a profound call to consider our capacity for connection and care, especially amidst suffering.
He also spoke about the burden of memory.
Yes, that heartbreaking dilemma.
Well,
Wanting others to remember the Holocaust, yet knowing he himself couldn't possibly remember every single one of the thousands of people, anonymous, going to the flames. It speaks to both the immense weight and the inherent limits of bearing witness, but also the necessity of trying.
And Kurt Vonnegut, in his unique way, touched on connection and empathy, too.
He did. Noting human loneliness often stems from our small, modern families, whereas historically humans lived in larger extended groups. He pointed to things like music, dancing, humor, and especially people who behave compassionately as what makes life worthwhile.
Simple human things.
Exactly. And he offered that powerful phrase, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do," as the antidote to the poison of the Code of Hammurabi, a call for grace and empathy over strict, potentially brutal retribution.
So the core message from Brown, Weisel, Vonnegut here.
Genuine human connection and the ability to influence others positively really stems from embracing vulnerability, practicing deep empathy, and consciously fostering a culture of worthiness, both in ourselves and around us, rather than one based on shame and judgment. It's about building bridges through shared humanity. Hashtag tag tag 3.3. Lessons from leaders and advocates.
Okay, let's bring all these threads, courage, truth-telling, vulnerability, purpose together, but looking at some concrete examples from leaders and advocates who really put these principles into action.
Right. Seeing how it translates into real-world impact. Theodore Roosevelt is a fascinating case study.
How so?
Well, he recognized the need to adapt presidential power and federal regulation for a new industrial era, something the founders couldn't have foreseen. But he wasn't reckless. He stressed taking extreme care not to interfere with the delicate mechanism of modern business rashly. It was about considered, necessary action for the public good.
And his views on equality.
Quite strong for his time. He insisted on judging people by personal worth, not class, calling any other test infamous. He warned against class hatred and class selfishness. He saw democracy's purpose as guaranteeing rights so individuals could better do their duty.
He saw rights and responsibilities as linked.
Very much so. He called self-government the noblest but also most difficult form, demanding efficiency, morality, high principle, and common sense. A tough combination.
What about his foreign policy approach? Speak softly and carry a big stick.
That captures it well. He believed weakness invites contempt, especially weakness combined with bluster. Self-respecting strength that also respects others' rights was key. He was pragmatic, ensuring he had the means to back up his policies, carry out my will by force if necessary.
And his views on philanthropy and conservation were quite forward-looking, too.
Remarkably so. He saw the best philanthropy as springing from brotherhood, based on mutual obligation and common effort, helping people help themselves. And he was horrified by the destruction of nature, comparing it to destroying great works of art, arguing we were still in a low state of civilization if we allowed it. He was a huge advocate for preserving natural resources like Yellowstone.
Moving to a different kind of advocate, Les Brown.
A compelling example of leadership rooted in personal values. Even as a state legislator, he often defined himself first as the son of Mrs. Mamie Brown, grounding his identity.
Humble origins mattering more than the title.
Exactly. And he wasn't afraid to be controversial, speaking out against injustice, organizing that massive peaceful demonstration in Miami through voter registration, always using his mama's voice for good, that deep personal drive fueling his advocacy.
And Kurt Vonnegut again offering lessons through his unique lens.
Always, encouraging us to appreciate simple moments. If this isn't nice, what is? Praising teachers who made students prouder to be alive.
Recognizing profound impact.
Right, and grounding his own activism, supporting civil liberties unions in the humane and fair and merciful intent of things like the Sermon on the Mount and the Bill of Rights, finding that deep moral core.
He also had that stark warning about petroleum.
Chillingly concise. Dear future generations, please accept our apologies. We were roaring drunk on petroleum. A powerful lament and plea from the past about environmental responsibility.
And he celebrated quiet courage, too.
Beautifully, highlighting librarians, not famous for their physical strength or great wealth, who all over this country have staunchly resisted anti-democratic bullies, recognizing heroism in unexpected places.
And finally, that message of hope from Tara Grove.
So important.
Yeah.
The arc of history is longer than human vision. It bends. She reminds us, we abolished slavery, we granted universal suffrage, we have done hard things before. Hope, she says, is the only reason you don't just give up.
And Bates College as an example of that hope in action.
A perfect example.
Yeah.
Founded by abolitionists before the Civil War, first in New England to admit women, one of the first to admit people of color, embodying that ideal of the brotherhood of man in every condition, a living testament to bending that arc.
So what do these diverse examples show us about impactful leadership?
That leadership genuinely serving the public good needs more than just policy smarts. It requires a deep ethical core, unwavering courage to challenge what's wrong, and that vital ability to inspire hope and mobilize collective action in others. Hashtag outro.
Wow, what a journey we've taken today. We've really seen how internal beliefs can literally shape your reality.
Mm-hmm.
How the power and precision of your words can, well, move mountains sometimes.
Yeah.
And how the sheer courage to stand for what's right, even when it means being incredibly vulnerable, can absolutely change the world.
It's true. From finding those hidden opportunities, Conwell's acres of diamonds right in your own life,
Yeah.
to advocating for these profound societal shifts, the core message seems pretty clear. Your individual voice, your vision, it matters.
Yeah.
Maybe more than you realize.
Definitely. We started with Conwell and Nightingale, that internal focus on opportunity and thought.
Right, the strangest secret. Then we dove into the craft, the ethics of rhetoric with Aristotle, Cicero, Quintilian. Timeless wisdom there.
Absolutely.
And then heard those powerful voices of truth. Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth.
King, Mandela, RBG.
Exactly. Unwavering commitment to justice. And Brené Brown reminding us that vulnerability isn't the opposite of courage, it's often the path to it, to connection, to worthiness.
These aren't just, abstract historical lessons.
Not at all. They feel like blueprints, really. Blueprints for living a life of genuine impact, of meaning.
So as you, our listener, go about your day, maybe consider this provocative thought. It's often attributed to George Bernard Shaw.
What's that?
The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them.
Powerful.
So the question for you is, what circumstances are you waiting for? And more importantly, what tangible action will you take starting today to create them?